Episode 19 pushing along, chugging along. I'm here with Project Monarch. What's up, dude?
What's up? What's going on?
What's going on? Just cracking on a Thursday. So chugging along. So, we're going to get into some cool stuff. So we're going to get into the discussion of the creative process that he has with Zack, products that he offers, all the cool stuff he has. And I realized I almost bought your shirt twice. I completely slipped my mind. I went back to go buy another one, and then I don't know. It showed up like on, I guess, the Apple Pay, and I was purchasing it again, and I was like, oh shit, I did buy one.
You can't go wrong with two shirts, though. I mean, one's gonna get dirty.
Yeah, I need to get a long sleeve. It's white. So, additionally to all the apparel, all the merch, and all that stuff, the drops, we're gonna also discuss, because he does a really cool bunch of editing portions, videos. Maybe discuss some of the COVID stuff that comes into play with like supply and demand, collaborations, upcoming projects, and as usual, outside of the industry stuff and what he enjoys doing and getting into. So we'll go ahead and jump into it. Favorite question, I always enjoy this part. It's always the questions that always kind of throw people off. I try to change them up, but
yeah, let's hear it.
Let's do it. All right, you ready, man? You ready for this?
Yeah.
All right. Favorite ice cream? What's your favorite ice cream?
Oh, dude, see, Moose Tracks. You ever heard of Moose Tracks?
Yeah. I've heard Moose Tracks.
Yeah, I'm not a huge mint guy, but I just love how much chocolate's in it. So,
yeah.
I mean, it kind of, you kill two birds with one stone with Moose Tracks.
I feel that, man. I feel that. So I'm gonna flip it. I'm gonna flip the switch on you. Going from sweet stuff, going for favorite ice cream. But on the other side, what's the worst soda? What is your least favorite pop soda, whatever you want to call it?
Soda. Oh, geez. Probably anything diet. All the
That's fair.
What's funny is like I can totally taste the difference. Diet Coke, like I gotta have that aspartame. I gotta have that sugar, man. Yeah, man. Like
kind of defeats the purpose.
Even like Diet Red Bull, like I could taste. It's a hot and cold difference with me. So, but yeah, I kind of stick to my drinks, man. You can't go wrong with a Red Bull.
I'm right there, dude. Fucking right there. We're Red Bull boys, life and blood.
Yeah, I'll take a drink right now.
Yeah, hell yeah.
There we go.
I am right there with you. So it's funny. So I posted something because I have a bunch of friends who would always give me like some angst about it, because they have like the rain, the bangs and stuff like that. And to me, the flavor is it just tastes so artificial, so trashy.
Yeah.
And they go flat really fast. I can drink a Red Bull. It's a classy drink. You can drink a Red Bull anywhere, bro. You could be at like a really nice party, and you can have like a little Red Bull, and you're good to go. You cannot do that shit with a Bang energy drink or a Rain. I mean, it's just like, what the fuck? Who let this?
I think I've tried both Bang and Rain. Yeah. I just didn't like it. And not only that, it's got like close to 400 milligrams of caffeine. So I drank one once, and I was in a meeting, and then I went into a meeting, and I'm like, why am I like jittery? Like I felt like
sweating.
Yeah, but you can't go wrong with Red Bulls.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. Like it's the perfect amount. Like if you want a bigger one, just get a bigger one. And then they go great with drinks. So now you can. So if you can
mix it up.
Alcohol, it's best, man. Man, finally someone's got some damn taste. Cool, man. All right, so obviously we're both kind of gun nerds. We're both into firearms a good bit. So I'm gonna switch this last question up. The epic battle, and obviously there's kind of pros and cons of each, but Aimpoint versus EOTech, which one you?
I knew this was coming,
especially with night vision and stuff. So which one you snagging first, man?
So there's a little history to this. Okay. I was an EOTech guy for the longest time. I had an EXPS3 on a CQBR clone that I did. I had an XPS2 on my Scorpion. Big EOTech guy, and then it's funny, once I started kind of getting away or getting out of cloning, and I tried an Aimpoint, and I'm like, holy crap, like this feels so much more, my rifle feels so much more lighter, balanced and lighter. And so I've made the switch to Aimpoint. I still love EOTechs. I really love the window and the box. But yeah, I'm an EOTech guy, I'm an Aimpoint guy now. Especially on like the 1/3 or the, what do they call that? The skies, like the raised mounts.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just got a Reptilia Corp I honestly don't know how. I think it's 1.93 inches.
Yeah, that's right. I think that sounds right. That sounds right.
It's like perfect. And now they like Unity Tactical makes that like crazy riser for the Yotech, and I just think it looks kind of corny.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and not only that, it's just more weight, you know, and I don't know. So yeah, I would go aim point. I was shooting out once in Flagstaff, and it was like 17 degrees, and it was like 2 a.m, and I did have an EOTech fail. Like it wouldn't turn on because it was too cold, but my aim point was totally fine. So that just based on my little experiences, I go aim point. They're hard to beat.
Yeah, so on the flip side, I'm actually the opposite. So I'll say EOTech, but granted, I've never seen any major issues on any personal units that I had of Aimpoint or EOTech. Yeah. But as I say that, I had a good deal come up, and I traded my XPS 3.0 for a T1 pristine condition with a Unity mount and a Knight's Ornament cap on it already. So,
yeah,
so
I'm a T2 guy.
Yeah,
I'm a T2 guy.
I was trying to get a T2, man. I was trying to get a good used one or something like that, and then trying because I have a good price through a buddy, and I was trying to get someone maybe like a little bit under that price, like used, and so like it just.
I don't know what it is. They're like $700 or something like that. I think I paid $500 for mine with a LaRue QD mount. See, like I don't know. Yeah, it's insane.
And that's what I was kind of aiming for too. So I was like thinking on a good day I can maybe get to like 550 used. Like if it has a really good mount, 600. Okay, I'll fork out the extra 50 for a good mount and the sight. But it's like I put.
You got to have that battery cap though too.
Yeah, and like it's crazy, dude. So like I was like, I put an ad out for it, and I was like, yeah, I'm looking for Aimpoint T2. Used is fine. I was like, right now pricing, just to go ahead and cut out the bullshit. And I was like, pricing that I see for me is $640. So I'm not paying more than $640 for a used unit. Like I'm not paying $600 for a used unit with no no mount.
For sure.
And man, it was like, whoa. And like I had like 3 guys come in, and it was like, well, I'll just let you know now that those are all back ordered, the ones you're referencing. So I was like, okay,
they'll be here in 9 months.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, well, let me forward the fucking ads to you, so where I see them, and then I blank out the URL. I was like, these nerds don't undercut me, and I was like, yeah, okay, here they are, right here in stock, green, baby. If I want one, I'll just go grab one. So, but
that's right.
Guy offered me a good deal for a trade one to jump in the T1, so we'll get back into it.
Yeah, I got a real funny. I think it's a real funny aim point story. So I had to have that Knight's battery cap as well. And as far as I know, I was Pre-Sample Depot's first actual transaction. I bought a battery cap from Eric. So we'll have to check the
origin story.
We'll have to check the facts, but I'm pretty sure I was.
We'll just say you are.
Yeah,
that's a way for me to plug and get him, because I did kind of like mention him the other day about trying to get him on too, and I got a like, so we'll see. Well, I'll pester him a little bit more, but yeah, man, it's funny.
Eric's a busy guy, man. I've known him probably since 2013 or 14. Damn. It's been a while.
I think and so it took me a while. Then I started plugging the things away, but I realized, like, being on the AR15.com, like you see them, and then it hit me that that's who that was, and then someone was like, yeah, that's the guy who owns that's one of the guys that's a part of Pre-Sample Depot, and I was like, makes sense. And then they started changing, and then he changed his name and branded it and stuff like that, and I was like, very cool. Been getting a lot of info for him for a while as well, but I don't really know him.
Yeah, great guy.
Yep, good stuff, and a bunch of cool ass guns too. All right, let's get into it, man. So I'm here with Zack from Project Monarch. Cool company. You've been around. How long have you been around, man?
Just over 4 years.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I remember we talking about Eric. He had come up with an idea way back in the very beginning. Instead of it was Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump running for president, and I did a Mark 18 CQBR, like presidential looking shirt. And I was just the other day, I was thinking, like, how long have I been around? And I remember we made that shirt prior to the last election. So it's been just over 4 years, 4.5 years.
That's kind of hard to believe. And it's kind of funny that you referenced that, because I remember seeing you guys around that time period, because the only reason I know is because I was going to one gym at the time, and between sets, I'd always peruse, Instagram, all of this stuff. And I remember seeing the logo for a while, and I think I bought one a long time ago, and I think my brother has it now. I think my brother has one of my original patches that I bought from you. But yeah, I remember seeing you guys a long time ago, and then like it just kind of, it's kind of just crazy how things kind of come full circle. But yeah, it's hard to believe that was 4 years ago.
Yeah, it really is. It's gone really fast, and we'll get into it.
Sure.
But Project Monarch was never really like, it was always that. It was just a project, right? So, to now be focusing on it a little bit more full time, it's just crazy that in 3, 4, 4.5 years, it's been able to grow to that point.
Very cool, man. So with Project Monarch, 4 years ago we did you start with a t-shirt? Was that how it, like the first thing that you had released?
So Project Monarch, I owe its success initially to a lot of different people. I think I get this question all the time, and I think this is a good opportunity to kind of just dissect it and tell my story. That way I can always be like, just go check out this episode, right?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's drop it.
So I've always been a tinkerer, right? I've, ever since I was a kid, I got really big into watches. I was really fascinated by watches. There's so many different moving parts, and all it does is simply tell time, right? I always took things apart. I was never really good at putting things back together. But I've always tinkered, right? Like, so I always, I got really big into teaching myself how to build websites. And so I would build websites for all of my friends. And, if a small restaurant or somebody needed a website or whatever, like I would always try to help them out. And content was right along there with it. I always wanted to, be a director or a cinematographer or whatever. I remember I saved up all my money my senior year, and I went out and bought a Sony VX2000. I don't know if you're familiar with that at all. It's like it's probably what the movie, like the episodes of Jackass were filmed on. Like it's the old skate camera with the handle, right? I had to have the handle. Always got into, always been creating, and I always wanted to, I love engineering in the aspect of like, again, watches, right? There's so many little moving pieces, and all it does is tell time, right? Or, a stopwatch or whatever.
Right.
And so I wasn't really super into guns at all. Like I grew up around guns. My dad went to high school with Rob Latham, who was like, 7-time USPSA champion. So like we knew him, and I live 5 miles away from one of the best USPSA ranges in the country. And so I didn't really get into it until I found out that I could build my own rifles, right? And found out you can swap uppers and lowers and triggers and stocks. And all of a sudden, like all of those things that I thought were cool with like watches and stuff,
transcends.
I was like, oh, cool. I could build my own, rifle. And very specifically, there was I think it was on the back of a Recoil magazine. There was a Daniel Defense ad. I don't know if you remember this. It was a bald guy laying prone with a CQBR, and I think it had an Elcan on it. And it said, use what they use. And basically I was like, oh, I want to build that. I want to build that exact same rifle. Found out you need to do an SBR. So did my SBR paperwork, took 1.5 years at that time. Could you believe that?
1.5 years. Jesus. I mean, I can believe it. I guess back then, was it,
it was like 2013, snail mail, like
so
mailed it in.
Still in form. Yeah. Still have like the OG. There's no E-forms at this point either.
No, not at all. And so I built this rifle. Essentially, I was cloning before I knew what cloning was. All I did was I was building it to look like the back of this magazine, right? And again, with that, with always wanting to create content and, film and stuff like that. As me and a buddy of mine, I met him down in Brazil. I was living down there. come back, found out he's really big into firearms. He moves to Arizona. We would always take our cameras out there and, film funny stuff or, cool stuff and take cool pictures. And then one day we're like, what do we call this?
Yeah.
And then I don't know if you knew this, but I started The Walking Lead. It was an Instagram way back in the day where all we would do is post cool stuff. And a lot of people don't know that, and a lot of people still ask, hey, where's The Walking Lead? Where's The Walking Lead? But basically, it got to the point where we were doing B2C marketing for people, for industry people. Back in the day, this was like Magpul Dynamic days.
Yeah.
So you got Chris Costa, Travis Haley screaming, full Velcro, running around, sliding and hiding behind, shooting under cars and stuff like that. That was kind of like my perception of, I'm using air quotes right now because I hate this word, the industry, right?
Yeah.
And then that fizzled out. My buddy Ben ended up moving back to Salt Lake, where he was from, and he's actually in a couple of the Silencer Co. videos. Silencer Co. did one where they went coyote hunting, and Ben's in that one. And so it The Walking Dead kind of fizzled out, but I always had this drive to tinker, right?
Right.
And I'm like, shoot, I want to sell something. I want to bring something to market. Like there's a hole in this industry when it comes to creating content, right?
Yeah,
not a whole lot of people know how to create good eye-catchy content. And I'm not saying that I know how to, but I know how to do it different, because we had done it with, like, we had worked with M-Tech helmets with The Walking Lead and some other companies that we took photographs for and stuff like that. So I knew there was something there. And again, I'm giving this whole backstory. I hope this is entertaining. But,
I'm entertained, man. It's cool stuff.
And so I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, again, I get so like stir crazy, right? If I'm not learning or like,
yeah, I'm the same way.
I'm like, I need to do something. We were talking offline. Like, I bought a Rodecaster Pro because I wanted to learn about podcasting. So I went and bought it and taught myself, how to use Audition and all that stuff. But so right around that same time, Eric Black Rifle, before Pre-Sample Depot, he was taking prints of his clones. Like, he's a really good photographer with the white background, and he was going to Kinko's and like printing them out and then selling them to whoever had bought that day on his Instagram Live or something like that.
Yeah.
And I had been in a chat with him, JB, for already at that point for a number of years. And I went to him and I said, hey, look, I'll build a website and we'll fulfill these prints to people, anybody who wants to buy them. We won't have to, you don't have to worry about shipping. You don't have to worry about anything. And I'll split the profits with you 50-50. And at that point he said, all right. And so that was kind of the kick in the pants that, I had this idea, and now I had a product, right?
Yeah, you have a platform too. So
yeah. And at that point, Project Monarch wasn't even created yet. The Instagram or anything. I didn't want to use The Walking Lead because I wanted that to kind of stay its own thing.
Yeah, separate. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I got to create a brand. Holy crap. And I have worked in marketing for the last 8 years of my life. So I'm like, okay, I know how to do this. Like, come on, you can do this. I had the logo, the Project Monarch logo, believe it or not. I made that like sitting at my desk in 2012 at work. I was just bored in Illustrator, and I made that logo. And so I was like, okay, fine, I'll take this logo. It was literally like a hodgepodge. Okay, I got this logo. Cool, I'll use that logo. Okay, what do I call it now? And if any of you know cloning, you probably know JB, right?
Yeah.
Josh. Him and I, a number of years ago, we were going to, start another project and work together on bringing some things to the community. It didn't end up happening under that name, but we had bought the domain Project Monarch. And so I'm like, okay, cool. Now I got a domain. And literally within 72 hours, I had a website, a fulfillment center, I had all of his artwork on the store. And then Eric at that time, had a following of 10, 12,000 followers or something like that. He was just like, hey, I'm going to start selling my prints through Project Monarch. And we went live, and that's how day one was. It was just so bootstrapped, so quick. And that's the kind of stuff that really keeps my motor running, right? It's just like, okay, what do we got to do? How do we do this? And so we had in the beginning, it was just prints. But having worked with the Walking Lead for 3 years prior, I had all these designs that I had worked with, done myself or worked with talented artists to produce. And I was like, let me try tossing these on a shirt. And all of a sudden I'm in the shirt game, and then that's how it's kind of snowballed from there, man. It's just been a weird ride. And, it's been fun. And I think that's the one thing I try to do with it is I don't take it too serious.
I think that's a key.
I don't know. You guys have probably seen my time zones, PSA, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or I just troll everybody, including myself, for not understanding how time zones work, right?
Yeah.
So it's just I'm not trying to be, like the next 9-line apparel or Black Rifle Coffee. I'm just doing me and having fun with it. And I think that's what people really like. And
it's transparency.
I'm looking forward to bringing out some new stuff in the future.
Yeah, man. So I 100% agree. And I think in a way that's kind of parallel, kind of the similar aspect that I look at, and the way I kind of go about it too is like, it's like the whole aspect of when I tell people, it's like, if I don't like it, then I don't want to make it. So if it's not something I enjoy or nothing I find cool, it's the same thing. It's the same process. But that's really cool, man. I mean, you've had a lot of background with marketing and all that stuff. What was it? So have you always been kind of, I know you said previously you didn't really have a lot of interest in the firearm industry, but like when you started marketing and all that stuff, did it start with the firearm industry or was it outside of that field?
I was in software. So I worked on the UX and UI team for a software company, UX and UI design. So it was design nonetheless. I should never probably call myself a UX and UI designer because there's a lot of other people who are way more talented than I am at doing it. And then I went to work for another software company in their like client development team. So I wasn't doing marketing or anything. And I remember I went to a big conference in San Francisco, and at that point I had been in that specific spot in that industry for a number of years. And I went to this conference and they told everybody to stand up if you've been in this industry for more than 3 years. And there wasn't too many who stood up. Right. And then they're like, look at everybody around you. These are the people you need to look like. And I'm like, I don't care to be around any of you. Like, I just don't like software. I don't like the industry. I don't like, this is as political as I get. It's very, very liberal. As soon as they found out that I like built rifles, they like, man, I felt like I had a target on my back. So I got out of I got out of software as quick as I could. The money was great, but the opportunities were kind of limiting.
Yeah.
So then I got fully into marketing. I went and worked for an entertainment company and marketed for them for the last 5 years until Corona killed that.
Damn. So really Project Monarch has always been a side, pun intended, but like a side project. So you've actually had a day job as well. But you've actually got your own office and everything running now as well for Monarch?
Yeah.
That's incredible, dude.
I have this teeny little office that I'm in right here, and then I have a fulfillment little office that I all my shipping goes out of.
Gotcha. Very cool. Very cool. That's still really neat though. I think that's kind of like the long term as well. But regardless, but let's talk about the creative process, because I know you were referencing how you first started off kind of like a little bit of doodling, and then you found this design, your iconic design now, and then from there you kind of try to build that name. So like, how long is your creative process? It doesn't have to be necessarily just doodling, but like, you do like the videos, which are really, really good. Like just like the one that you posted the other day was really cool. Had like that Tarantino like effect, you know.
Oh yeah.
So it's really cool. So like when you got like does something like inspire you, and like, or maybe you watch something or you see something, you're like, yeah, it'd be really cool to put my own little twist on this.
Totally. I do Instagram lives from time to time, and I get this question a lot, you know, like who inspires you? And 100% of the people who inspire me have nothing to do with firearms.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a good thing,
Quentin Tarantino, you know, Django Unchained, you know, Inglourious Basterds. Those, I love his style. I love, you know, the look and the feel in the world that he's created. Even like Wes Anderson, you know, Grand Budapest Hotel, you know, I really like how he shoots very flat and the way his colors look and stuff like that. So my creative process usually starts with just exactly that, being kind of inspired, like, oh, you know what, it would be really, you know, I really love how he, you know, portrayed this, or you know, the design and the way that he's trying to, like for example, Quentin Tarantino, you know, the fonts that he uses in his film. I'm a big font guy, right? Like I can walk around, it drives my wife crazy, and I'll be like, ooh, I know that font, I know that font, I know that font. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, just feeling kind of looking for inspiration, photography, and then just kind of seeing where it goes from there. One thing that's been really inspiring to me lately has been, like, believe it or not, like old school, like 50s music, or even like 60s music. And I know that sounds corny, but like, for example, look at the Project Monarch quality goods sticker. Right. The vibe that I was trying to convey with that was like late 40s, early 50s kind of newspaper art.
Like that Fallout style for people who play games, you know, like Fallout.
Yeah, you know. And so honestly, it bounces all over the place, man. The Nox Knight, the iconic skeleton with the CQBR, right? I came up with that design literally in 15 minutes. My wife was blow drying her hair, and we were getting ready to go to my brother's wedding reception. And I was like, oh, you know what? I had worked with the Modern Savage with the skull. And I was like, you know, I'm going to toss a skeleton on it. And you know what? I'm going to create a vector using Black Rifle's CQBR. So not a whole lot of people know that that's Black Rifle's CQBR. And I literally tossed it together, and I was like, oh, you know what? I'll toss it on a shirt. And then all of a sudden that shirt just, you know,
blows up,
starts going to the next level. And I'm like, oh shoot. And then, you know, Primer Projects reached out to me and says, hey, this needs to be a patch. So we worked together and made a patch. And so that's how the patch was born.
Gotcha.
So it's just kind of, I always try to, you know, there's so many other talented people out there. There's a patch guy right now. I don't know if you've heard of Doodles by Derry.
Of course I have.
Absolutely. Yeah, I am just blown away by his creativity and I always use this term, even in design and marketing, complexity through simplicity.
100%.
Right? How each one of his little patch has a little story, right? It comes with artwork, and it's a character in this world that he's created. That to me is so inspiring. Whereas me, I'm like, okay, what does this dang skeleton, you know, have to do with anything?
I'm like, I'm very similar to you in your aspect, and just like you said, I remember seeing his stuff for the first time and just complete pure amazement. It's like you said, you nail on the head. And I even chatted with him for a little bit because I was like, you know, man, you know, how do you get like this background? Like, you know, where does this all come from? And, you know, him just breaking it down, and I won't get into that too much, but yeah, each one is just, like you said, it's a story. And I think that's why I like them so much, is because each one can be literally a different, like, it could be almost like a comic book or a cartoon, and each one has, it's like its own episode. So, and they're all very, very distinct. And I like the aspect of course, he's popular within the firearm industry and guys who are in this, you know, this field, but not everything is like, has to be about firearms, and he just kind of just does whatever he thinks. I mean, it's just like, if you told me it was from a cartoon, I would totally believe it. I mean, his touch on it is, and then he does the actual embroidery and stitching all in house too, I think.
Yeah,
so
yeah. I mean,
it's incredible,
amazing. And like I said, I find him to be so inspiring in that aspect. Sure. Right? Is he's created this world where things live. And again, like we talked about Quentin Tarantino, Quentin Tarantino's created this world that all of his movies exist in. I don't know if you knew that. Like the same cigarettes that are in Kill Bill are in Pulp Fiction, right? He's created his whole world.
Yeah, it's like his own, yeah.
Right.
It's stuff like that. It's really cool, and then unfortunately, a lot of people won't ever pick that up, or they won't even realize that. But like when you start noticing little things, but it just shows you how much they care about their product. Because even though the common person won't pick it up and realize it, the fact that he continues to do it, regardless of whether or not people know, is just for him. I think that's like the icing on the cake. So it's really cool stuff like that. Very cool, man. I didn't realize that a lot of the stuff you started off with was with Eric. I didn't know that. That's pretty neat.
It was just again the beginning. The first products that were sold were his prints.
Yeah.
I mean, he was happy with it because he made a couple bucks, and I was happy with it because I was building a brand.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. So and of course I had to ask it, but obviously, and you ended up building that one. Do you still have that first clone that you built unintentionally?
I don't actually.
Yeah.
Once I, again, kind of the EOTech Aimpoint conversation, once, I think the turning point was when I spent $600 on a WMX.
Someone just talked to me about that the other day. And I was the same thing. He's like, be me, spend, and of course, when you bought it, the price may have been a little better because I think they've actually gone up in the cost. So like now they're running like 900, give or take.
Yeah. I think once I bought that, and I was like,
"What am I doing?
It's really not that great of a flashlight,
no, it's not.
even in IR under night vision."
Yeah.
And then I went shooting with it, and then I get back home, and I shot like 5 rounds unsuppressed when I was out there with some buddies, and I come home and the glass is broken on the WMX.
No.
And I go, "Dude, you got to be kidding me! Like I spend this amount, a crazy amount of money on a stinking flashlight, and the thing breaks." Luckily, I just called up L3, or I think it's L3 who made it. Yeah,
I think it was.
And I was just like, "Hey, my glass broke." Everybody on social media is like, "Oh, they don't make those anymore. You're, SOL." The lady just goes, "Oh yeah, send it here. We still make those." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool."
That's pretty cool.
And it was interesting. I had it sold before it got back to me in my hands.
Yeah, that was a turning
point for $200 more than what I paid for it. Yeah. So,
but to say though, those things they catch a pretty penny. That's like my buddy. He said the same thing the other day. I can't remember, we were bitching about something, and he was I think maybe it might have been lasers and stuff, and and he was like, yeah, he said, but to be fair though, I just spent like $800 on a fucking flashlight, and so it was like, so yeah, same thing with the WMXs. They still, you're panting really hard there, bud. But same thing. So I will say I kind of stopped myself. Like I remember seeing that little asterisk on the lights on the clone threads and stuff like that. And it was like Surefire, and I was like, I'm going to go with the Surefire instead. I'm going to save a couple $100.
Yeah. I remember shooting out with a bunch of guys here in Arizona, and everybody had WMXs, but I had just sold mine, and I got a Surefire Vampire. I think it was like 250 lumens, but it has the IR. You can rotate the head. And I turned that on when we were all under night vision, and everybody looked around and goes, "What was that?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's a Surefire Vampire." Like nobody, it like blew everybody's mind. Yeah. Oh my gosh, you can see the target 75 yards away.
Incredible, man. I know it's funny how it's like the whole clone game. It's like inefficiency, but it's still. I think it's some of those aspects. I mean, I still have my Mark 18, but I've kind of slimmed.
Yeah,
it
I'm
down
not gonna lie. I cashed in when it was getting really popular right around 2016, 17. Like I sold all my clone stuff and made a pretty penny. So
yeah, they do. They I think it's kind of, I mean, obviously with the climate right now, stuff has obviously gone through the roof, but I think it seemed kind of like the price of that stuff was starting to go back up again too, especially with like, introductions of other stuff and other platforms kind of rearing its head a little bit, possible replacements and stuff. And it seemed like the stock was kind of going down.
It's just a lot to keep up with too.
Yeah, it is, dude. It is, man. And some of it's just so, like you said, like having the WMX and like not being a really good flashlight, like whatsoever, like at all. It's not really a very good light at all. And then you have competitive brands that are generally a hell of a lot cheaper, and they're a lot better. So it's kind of like sometimes that I think that kind of starts adding up too, especially in the
For
cloning
sure.
world. So it's cool for a little bit. I think everyone should at least have one or get one, like a Daniel Defense Reese.
It is fun. My mini recce took me like, and I'm a pretty frugal dude. I'll wait for good deals. My not my mini recce, my seal recce that I built up, which I have sold since, took me about 2.5, 3 years to build, and it was fun getting the right scope, the right doctor mount. It's like treasure hunting, but then when you don't shoot it, when you're shooting under night vision, you like your lightweight guns and you only shoot out to 50, 75 yards. You're like, why the heck do I have this recce just sitting here?
Yeah. That's kind of, I think that's kind of what happened to me pretty much in the past 8 or 9 months. Like this is identical thing. It's like this is a lot of fun, but I enjoy the gun being a hell of a lot lighter, and that was a lot of the aspects with going with the aim point too. And don't get me wrong, I love the EOTechs, I really do, and I've never had any issues with them, fortunately. Well, I did get a really shitty one from some nerd on Tax Swap, but other than that, it was fine. But yeah, they've always been really solid for me. But same thing, it's just like, man, these guns are so fucking heavy. Like this gun's heavy, but this is what I'm supposed to, this is how it's built, and damn, it's like. Yep. Speaking of JB, so chatting with JB about a certain little Noveski gun that's kind of peeking around every here and there, chatting with him a little bit, and I was like, damn, that'd be kind of a cool gun, and it's kind of like a clone still, but at the same time, it's a lighter gun. It's a hell of a lot lighter, and so I was like, that'd be cool. I'm gonna, that's gonna do that. So that's like what I'm in the process of. I'm waiting now as a tax.
That's awesome.
So
I love that build. I love that rifle. It's awesome.
And and in a way, it's not really even a clone. It's just one of their standard.
Oh, it's a clone.
Yeah, I mean it is. But it's definitely a cool gun. It's a very cool gun, but very cool, man. So we won't get too much into gun talk because then we'll stray from the path too much. We could be here all day talking about that stuff. So
yeah, no, you're good.
So with the patches and stuff like that, you started making the Nox patch. Was that your first patch? Was the Nox patch?
It was.
Yeah. Very cool. So
and we actually launched it on Halloween of I think 2016 or 17.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Very cool. So
it just had its birthday.
Yeah. I was about to say not too long ago. So when you guys do patches and stuff like that, and obviously it's a big hit seller. So you have the 1.0 and then you have the 2.0. That's the 2.1. I think the 2.1 is the MP7, right?
Yeah.
It's very neat.
So I listened to your Superior Defense and your podcast, and you had talked about how Corey kind of took a break from Superior Defense, and I think in that same episode you referenced Sarah taking a break and coming back. Project Monarch for the majority of 2019 was turned off. I was just focusing on different things, myself, family, stuff like that, and I turned it back on as soon as I found out that I was losing my day job. My wife goes, "You need to turn Project Monarch back on," and I was like, "Oh, okay." And we sold out of the 1.0s, really fast. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. And then I had always wanted to do a more detailed version.
Yeah.
And so I worked with a really cool artist named Ryan, and I just said, "Hey, look, here's what I have. I need you to make it a little fancier, a little bit more detailed." And he knocked it out of the park. And so that's how the 2.0 was born. And the 2.1, I found out, over the years that certain communities in the military like my patches and have been running my patches. And so, I thought I'd do an MP7 one for the salty boys that would sell. And those sold pretty good. And so, yeah, that's the 2.1. So it's just, those are my two little 2.1 and 2.0 and 2.1 are the kind of the flagship models, I guess.
For sure. And it seems like it's really cool to see that you're able to use that one iconic design and be able to reutilize it. And then, each one have, some of them have a little different twist, like one has a different background, and then, glow in the dark versions, and then, like you said, the different guns and different variants. But it's really nice to see a design where you're able to just completely and continue to utilize it. So that way you don't feel like you have to keep on rebranding yourself and changing up. And that's something that I feel like I'm kind of learning myself now. And then, same thing with like, I'm not going to put words in other people's mouths, but it seems like even Warm Fuzzy, you see him and he has it, but recently he's focused on those gypsy patches, and he's just been able to change the design, change the color up, and Still a
Yeah, I
hit.
love his style
Yeah,
too.
it's very
You know,
cool.
the way I describe it to people, and I could be totally wrong in doing this, in making this comparison. I'm comparing it to a wave, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Knox Knight is a wave. I'm surfing that wave, right? And eventually that wave is either going to take me to the beach or take me further, further out, and so I can catch another wave. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? So I also, having been away and having Project Monarch turned off for the majority of 2019 and coming back, I found out there's like this little community of patch collectors,
Yeah, absolutely.
that, again, we talked about Doodles by Derry and his headache. There's like 20 different variations and 20 different colors, but people collect them all. And so,
Mm-hmm.
everybody, I kind of tapped into that, and they said, oh, we want a red one. And I go, well, what if the red one glue in the dark? And then I found out through certain people that I guess, the Rangers can't wear black patches, but they can wear brown patches. So that's why the chocolate chip was born. Um, and then some people didn't like the PVC; they just don't like PVC. So I did a
Yeah.
woven one. So, I mean, it's been pretty fun. But yeah, I think what keeps you up at night, and you worrying about the longevity of your brand, is what keeps me up at night. Also,
Absolutely.
I'm always thinking like, what's next?
Yeah. Well, like you said, and like that creative process and having that itch to do something or keep it fresh and keep it new. But you seem like you have a lot of that creativity where you're always you're already a step ahead of that. So you're already thinking. So even like right now, I know you've got that hat that you've been showing me, showing off, and it's kind of like that really cool
Oh, yeah.
styling. Yeah, I think you had it on right now. Very nice, very nice.
Yep.
And it was funny that you were the first person I saw who did the hat, and I was about to use this hat, but at the same time, I was almost kind of nervous because I was like, man, I don't think I've ever seen that hat ever before. I don't know
Oh,
how
you're talking the
it's the like 7 panel hat, I think.
7 panel. Yeah, yeah.
Dude, I love that fucking hat. I love that style of hat. And I had not seen anyone use it, or I haven't seen anyone utilize it at all. And I was like
Yeah.
kind of on the fence on it. I was like, man, I don't know how to I don't know how to what you would do to brand it with it and on there. And then I saw yours. You saw yours. I was like, damn it, dude, it does look good. I was like, fuck, it does look good. I was like, that's exactly how I kind of expected it. But that's
launch
cool.
it, man.
Yeah, man. I know.
Send it.
I know.
I'm not. I see. Here's the thing. I'm not going to sit here and be like, "Oh my gosh, he's copying me."
Yeah.
There's a big brand out there that has 100 some odd thousand followers. So I guess I can't remember their name. They just started. My little skeleton crew, always creeping, never sleeping.
Yeah.
Phrase. I came up with that on a flight to Fresno for work. I was just like, "Oh, I want to build a flag. What's a cool slogan?" I did that back in like 2000. Yeah, in the very first year of Project Monarch. And I guess this company said always sleeping, or never sleeping, always creeping. They like reversed it, and it's a skeleton. And I'm like, whatever. Like, my cronies, or whatever, the people who follow me know. I get tagged in I get tagged in that. I'm like, you know what? I really don't care. I feel like that's kind of I don't want to say it's in the firearm industry, because I'm sure it's everywhere, but it bugs me sometimes that, like a Circa Kraft would have a really cool idea and then come to the table and be like, oh crap, Project Monarch did that hat. Now I can't.
Yeah. I think it's just kind of a mixed bag. And of course, some of it's also kind of flows back to some of the followership. I think a lot of the actual people who do the designs and work on it, or come up with the idea, or try to launch a product, I think between people like that really normally don't really care, unless it's like something obviously blatantly, not copyright. Well, I guess it is copyright, but I think it's a lot of the followership too. Sometimes get kind of all angst up too.
Yeah, it happens too. Like creative people, can be inspired by the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Like I did. I called it the Bino Lisa, instead of Mona Lisa. It was Mona Lisa with a pair of PVF 17s or 15s on. And I was going to sell a wall print and it on a t-shirt, and I was teasing it, getting ready to launch. And the day before I launch, I get, a bunch of hate from, all these followers, and I'm like, what's going on? I think it was RE Factor Tactical had done something very similar, like literally 2 weeks prior, and I had never seen it.
Man.
But but again, that doesn't mean that like two people who are inspired can't be working on the same thing just differently. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, like you said, a lot of that's going to come out, and especially like when your creative process, creative mind, and something just clicks, and then it's just like, oh, it'll be really cool. And you start working on the project, and sometimes people have different timelines and launches it earlier or later, and then it's hard to keep up with it because there's just so many guys who are kind of making something too. So I mean, how do you?
It is.
There's not like a Google search of this blah blah blah. You just gotta have to just flow with it too. So, but yeah, man,
totally.
I'm right there with you. So, in regards to merchandise and stuff like that, what do you see normally the highest demand for? Like, do you normally see obviously it seems like if I was visually from the outside, it looks like the patches. Your Knox patch is your iconic. That's the face. That's what you see.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you see a lot of people gravitate towards or come to your site for, or come to you for? Or variants?
Yeah, I think so. Apparel sells quite a bit, and that's something I want to get more into.
Mm-hmm.
I used to drop ship a lot of my stuff, but I could never really, the quality, I wasn't able to do that. And, it's good. My margins were, pitiful, but at the same time, I was able to give people what they want. But now bringing everything in house and focusing on a little bit better, I'm able to monitor that quality.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, apparel sells. But obviously what I think people are coming to me for is the patches. And I try to price my stuff pretty well, where it's literally just like sliding me a 20, like taking me to lunch. You know what I'm saying? Like some of these hoodies for me to make, like the glow in the dark hoodies or this is a nightmare. The gold stamp stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that like I could make 3 regular Knox Night t-shirts for the price of one of those gold foil shirts. Those just, I mean, it's cool, but it was just a logistics nightmare, and so, and I had to price them. So I at least made my money back. Right. And so they were, $40, $35, $40. And so, people who, I could never pay that much for a shirt. Yeah. Okay. Well then don't, but you can give me $20 for a patch or I dang near lose money on those cat eyes.
We talked about that earlier.
Like the margins are teeny, but at the same time, you have to, each envelope costs money.
Yep.
Right. Each label costs money. So at the end of the day, when you boil it down, you're like, okay, how much money did I really make per cat eye? It's really minimal. But at the same time, I know that's a cool design. I know people love it and people rock it. And so I'm going to do it.
Right. Yeah. And again, I think you're 100% right. Like you're 100% right. I think people kind of lose sight of that too. So it's like I'll be honest, I haven't really had too many people complain one way or the other. And then but pricing points, I'm trying to figure that out myself.
Yeah.
But like one thing, I always try to be fair on is like shipping costs. And I think you really get a big perspective when you do start shipping this stuff and you start packing this stuff and then like realizing how much different aspects you have to put in together. It's like, and when people say, man, your shipping is kind of expensive, I was like, well, that's, I'm not making anything off of shipping, it's like, all these things kind of come together. It's not like someone just provides envelopes, labels, polyurethane or, whatever backer plates, all that stuff, to have that perfect presentation for you to make it look professional instead of just throwing it in a business envelope and, handwriting the name on there, which when you get started, that's one thing. But, later on, if you want to be more professional, you got to be professional to be taken professional. So very cool, man. So obviously, the main aspects, I know you have other merchandise available too, like the phone case, I think is really cool. Patches, stickers, other kind of goods. What other kind of stuff? Is there something that you're like really trying to up the ante and get and dip your toes into more? Obviously, you said you're trying to do
There's a handful of stuff, it's, again, as Project Monarch has become more and more my full-time gig or my day job, talking about money and stuff, for pricing, I don't think people understand how much it actually costs to make things, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Like, hey, if this is a made in America or whatever, it's going to be a little bit more expensive. So that being said, there's some other products that patches. I'll always do patches. I have a really good supply chain with patches, really good relationship. So expect some more patches down the line with some different designs. We're bringing back the merit badges that we did a long time ago. But one thing that I'm kind of wanting to get into more and more is obviously apparel. It's funny that when you said it seems like you're kind of on top of that, I chuckled is because I feel like I'm like a month or two behind. I want to get into like better quality stuff. So like windbreakers, maybe actual jackets and stuff like that. But one thing that's been kind of my jam lately is the leather stuff. Obviously the laser engraved pressed leather hats. And again, these are made right down the street, like American made, American leather. I watched the guy make them right in front of me.
Yeah.
But the capabilities that his laser machine has is pretty awesome. Like I have these little samples here. These are little leather stickers, that people can put on their lowers and stuff like that. And it's like industrial 3M. Like you have to use acetone to get it off, right? So there's a lot of things that I want to get into, but again, like what does each one of these little leather stickers cost me? They cost me probably $2 or $3. Okay, well then what do I need to sell them for? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
and that's a whole point. That's going to take a process too to kind of figure out the market for that as well, and kind of figure out, like you said, your price point, and then obviously if his demand goes up and your numbers start going up, and then that changes the aspect entirely. Which I know, like I said, I had mentioned, and it's funny that we talked about the hats before, the 7-panel, but like same thing with the leather, like that was like the first hat, like that was one of the first projects I was kind of like putting myself into, and I was like, man, like this 7-panel hat would look just awesome with like a leather embossed image or something like that. And then like looking through that briefly, I mean, I didn't spend too much time on it because after about 2 or 3 times, the cost of like getting leather pressed, and I didn't even know that you could, I mean, it makes sense, but I didn't even know you could use lasering and stuff to get stuff done, like to have that kind of styling. But that makes sense, to have the accuracy in order to hit it, hit the designs correctly. But that's really cool within itself,
Yeah, it is. And what's interesting is the company that I use is a sister company of a really popular leather goods e-commerce store. They're all over, they're all over the internet.
Right.
And some of the things that they can't use to make bags and backpacks are like the leather that has a brand in it, like from the cow.
Oh, okay.
So you can see like what farm it came from, like what number calf or cow this was,
right?
And so that stuff to me, again, going back to the whole storytelling thing, is so awesome because it's like, dude, I'll use that. Like I'll use those scraps because people can see, that little line right there, that's from a brand that was on a cow, right? Like this isn't fake leather.
It's an identifier too. And I think like having that uniqueness to it as well, I think that's a really cool aspect of it as well. Like having literally a unique, it's a one of one. Like there's not going to be another one like that.
For sure.
And like that also creates like that, I want to say that collecting kind of attitude to it too. It's just like, cause you never know what you're going to get. It's kind of like whenever you get like an anodized something, you get it and it's like, okay, well not every anodization is the same. So, if you're trying to match everything, you don't get your hopes up. And it's kind of the same like that. It's like, they can always be different. And that's a really cool thing, man. I mean, it kind of, it's unfortunately like it's a part that probably gets scrapped really, really often in the industry, but it's perfect, for stuff like that. And it creates like that individuality of each one. That's really neat. I like that. It's kind of funny. I feel like kind of leather's kind of become more popular recently too in the past couple of years, and kind of like in a way of being utilized, like whether it be on hats and stuff like that. Like maybe it's just me, but I never really ever thought about putting leather on hats. But now you see some of the hat, different types of designs and hats and stuff coming out now with like a leather in the front and stuff. So really neat.
Yeah, I think it's unique. Again, I like that. It's just, if it looks like handmade,
Yeah, that handcrafts. But I mean, you even mentioned about feeling like you're kind of behind the game. But I think sometimes it's better to be late to the game than it is early to the game, because when you are too early, then maybe you kind of start learning some hard lessons, and it's good to see what works and what what's being utilized and what people are really pulling to, and then you can be the next person to hit the 2.0 thing, so it's like,
very true.
Yeah. So like, everyone really like this, but it's going to burn out at some point, everyone utilizing it. So when 2.0
I've had my own flops too. So
we all have. I even me at a earlier time, and sometimes it just comes down to me not listening to myself, and then getting outside. But very cool, man. Totally. So with a lot of that stuff, and you kind of start to move more in house and have that quality control check, like what's what is kind of like a week look like for you? I mean, like if you're kind of bringing all that shipping and all that stuff inside, or like you packing and stuff like that, are you able to have someone who helps you and utilize you get Project Monarch?
Yeah, I love these questions. These are really good questions because I get asked these all the time,
Sure.
and so you're making it easier for me. I can always say go listen to the podcast. So, yeah. So Corona took my day job, right? Again, I was the director of marketing for a company, an entertainment company, and we did winter entertainment. So 4 months out of the year, I was living out of a hotel. That sucked when you have kids. I got two girls and now I have a 2-month-old boy. It just sucked. And so when Corona took my day job and my wife told me to turn Project Monarch back on, at the same time, I have all these marketing skills that other people started coming to me because Corona goes, hey, I can't rely on people to come into my store. I need you to help market my business.
Sure.
So I wear kind of two hats right now, but I would say it's like 70, 70-30. I focus on Project Monarch 70% of the time, and I have a little book of clients. So I do still do digital marketing for other companies and other brands. But when it comes down to Project Monarch, obviously, Mondays is it's so exciting for me to come in on Monday, and I think that's what I love the most about Project Monarch is I actually love working and creating things and seeing things out in the wild. Like I can't explain
100%.
to you how that makes me feel. I remember I was in Oregon up there shooting with the Oregon Good Time Gangs, the Noveski crew, and JB. I flew up there and we filmed some stuff. I have it on my Instagram and on my YouTube. But there was a guy and he was wearing my shirt. He didn't know who I was. He didn't know Project Monarch was going to be there.
That's awesome.
But he was wearing my shirt, and I literally was like, I don't want to say like teary eyed, but I was just like, that is the coolest thing ever, right?
Yeah.
There's people out there that have my skeleton tattooed on their bodies, which is nuts. When
you think about it, yeah. I mean, it's
special when it took me 15 minutes to make.
Yeah, you might not want to tell them that.
No, I tell them it's funny. Yeah. They're always like, "Hey, bro, can I get your tattoo or your design tattooed on my body?" And my response is always the same. Yo, bro, it's your body. You could do whatever you want with it.
Yeah.
Like I made that logo or made that design a long time ago, and then they'll send me a picture. Like literally 2 seconds later, they had already got it done like 2 weeks ago.
Okay. At least I guess the thought crosses afterwards. It's funny that I've had like a couple people, and it's kind of a weird thing because with being, so for me with marketing, I don't really have a lot of marketing experience, but some of it is just more natural stuff that I've just picked up, whether it be from doing stuff with customer service or selling stuff and kind of having that customer aspect, and then just turning it around and utilizing it as what do other people want to see, or what do they want, or what do they expect. So I use that. And then, of course, always outside influences as well, and seeing what other people find and do and what they see as successful. And, that kind of helps me but it's funny that you say that, because it's like one of those things. It's like, I have no idea how to respond to this, because it's like I had someone say the same thing to me. And like, I was like, damn, I was like, I guess, man, yeah, go for it. And it was like, yeah, I really want to get that bad hombre tattoo. And I was like, okay, dude. I was like, go for it, man. I don't care. I was like, that's cool. I mean, hey, no, that's be awesome. Just shoot me a picture of it. I want to see it. And so, right. It's cool seeing that, and you're 100% right. And so I had an experience kind of similar to that. Unfortunately, I didn't see it in person, but someone messaged me and it was like, "Hey man, who else in such and such in Texas do you know who has your OG Rooster shirt?" And I was like, dude, I have no idea. I said there was only 50 made, and about half of them were friends, family, and then like other friends who really liked it. I said, so there's no telling, really. I said, but it's pretty cool. And he was like, well, I'm at a gun show, and we were kind of going through, and I saw the guy with the same shirt as me, or the same Rooster shirt, and I was like, dude, he was like, I missed him. I couldn't get him in a second because I was tied up. But he was like, that's badass. Awesome. And so it's like you said, just being able to see that. And I even tried to find out who it was, because there's only a limited amount of people who have it, but.
Oh, really?
Just knowing that two people that don't know each other in a random place in Texas, of all places, Texas is a big ass state, and just, out of nowhere, they just happened to somehow cross paths at some point. So that in itself, like you said, is just for me, I was just tickled by it. It's just like, damn, that's really cool. It's cool.
Yeah,
It's
always I find it like so humbling, but at the same
oh,
time
yeah.
so motivating, right? So
Absolutely.
every time, kind of going back to your original question, what does a week look like? Obviously, coming in Monday, we hit the ground hard with trying to get out all the orders that we can get out.
Mhm.
Obviously, like if people bought shirts and stuff like that, then I go and buy them from my suppliers and work on the supply chain a little bit. But the patches, try to get those all out by Wednesday at the latest. I do have bodies helping me,
Awesome.
which was I have the ability to do that now, which is great. And again, why I charge for shipping is because I pay somebody to help me. I went back and forth on it a long time. I don't want to do that. I want to keep as much as I possibly can, but I had to realize how much my time was worth and how much it was taking away from me being creative, and how much fulfilling was taking away from me being able to focus on the next project.
For sure.
So I have two bodies that help me, and we like last Friday when we had a drop, there's 900 orders or whatever that need to go out. We did them all in or the majority of them in 3 hours, whereas that would have taken me days. The better half of a week.
Yeah, it calls you, and it does it and it takes time, and then of course people start getting antsy, like where what's my update, is it shipped yet?
Yeah,
it's
man.
like, and then additionally with you still have a side gig that you're still working and operating on, even if it is 30%, but it's still 30% is 30%, and if people are paying clients, you gotta do it. So
totally.
I 100% agree. So it's that's really neat. So like on an average week, how many orders do you normally bump out? That's 900. That's a pretty significantly sized order for just.
Yeah, that's a drop. Obviously, drops because people are anticipating. But we've been steadily growing. Every month the average daily orders go up. Anywhere from 9 to 10. To some days we'll randomly, depending on what we post on Instagram, we'll get 40. So. It's just been steadily going up, and I think I'm a big data nerd. So I see who's coming on my website. I know where they're coming from. I see what communities and what states are growing, so it allows me to curate content. If I know I'm really popular in California, specifically San Diego, well, what's over there? Oh, well, probably Coronado, right? A lot of the military is over there too. Okay, well, next time I'm in California, maybe I could do some California content, or even do like a little giveaway or scavenger hunt thing there. So, it's just been, it's hard to say because we grow and grow and grow. And, obviously we have slow days and slow weeks, and
now, who doesn't?
Sometimes I sit there. I remember, what was it, 2 weeks ago? No, it was 2 months ago. I had a drop, and it didn't go quite as successful as I would have liked. But had I had it, if I had that 2 or 3 years ago, I would have been through the moon. You know what I'm saying? So I was sitting at a stoplight, and my wife goes, "Hey, what's the matter with you? What's going on?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm not too happy with the way today's drop went." And she was like, "Dude, shut up! It's doing great. You can't expect it to just be
home run
a machine."
Yeah.
So it, luckily I do have those bodies that help me fulfill them, and we're able to get them out as soon as we can. But again, there's if somebody buys a shirt and 5 patches, usually, they should expect to wait, because I have to go fulfill the shirt and then ship the shirt with the patches, and a lot of people don't get that. And like you said, I get a lot of emails going, "Hey man, it's been 4 days. Why haven't I gotten shipping on my 14 hoodies I ordered?" It's like, bro, pump the brakes a little bit,
And I'll be the first one to admit that, I'd say I'll be liberal about it and say maybe 5 years ago or so, I would definitely admit that I was one of those people. One because I just didn't understand the logistics of it, how much time, especially smaller companies too. When you have a smaller group, it's you kind of just expect things, ASAP. And I think people have this is what I always That's how I was explaining is they have that Amazon Prime mentality. It's like they're
Oh yeah,
some people
yeah,
are so
for sure.
used to that 2 day. Like I expect to get it in 2 days. You expect to get some kind of shipping notification within 2 hours, and unfortunately the world does not go off of Amazon Prime, and they have really kind of
Yeah.
slipped, in my opinion.
Yeah, they have.
They've kind of
It's. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, man.
Well, I was just going to say, like, we're using technology to run businesses, right? And technology has problems itself. Like,
absolutely.
I switched. I would say end of September, I switched to a different shipping software. That was way better streamlined. Obviously, it cost more, but I was willing to make the investment in order to see the return. But what I didn't know was there was a weekend, a Friday, Saturday, Sunday that was overlap, that the sales had been made, but they didn't go into the new shipping software. So I'm over here, there's 3 days worth of orders that are a bunch of shirts, a bunch of hats or whatever that I never even saw. And so now I'm like, oh crap, these people have been waiting 30 days and now I got to go back and save face and hey man, we're super sorry. I can give you a full refund, or we can get these made as fast as we can. So yeah, I always say these are good problems to have, but they're problems nonetheless. And again, Amazon Prime's been having trouble. I mean, the United States Postal Service has cost me so much money this year in losing orders. And I just get it. They're operating at 110%, and I'm trying to do the same. So it's a give and take,
For sure. And I was going to say, and I was going to follow it up. So like, regardless of like from when you have the product and getting it out, but with COVID, have you seen a lot of disruption in like your supply lines, getting the product that you want ordered, getting it to your hands and turnaround times and stuff like that? Not necessarily the shipping.
Yeah, it's interesting having had Project Monarch off for the better half of 2019 and turning it on right at the very beginning of this pandemic. Yeah, most definitely. Patches and rubber goods, I could get those fairly quickly with my relationships that I have. What I'm seeing more challenging is obviously apparel.
Yeah.
And what I think it has to do with is cotton.
Yep.
I think in a lot of those masks, there's a lot of cotton in them.
And it's kind of funny that you bring that. I think people kind of forget about that aspect and stuff. Like, so like even just talking with some people recently, and they were saying like, black shirts and long sleeve shirts are like non-existent right now. Like a lot of them, long, like extra, like pretty much any size past XL is gone. There's no such thing as like 2XL and 3XL black shirts right now, and like those long sleeves and stuff like that, because they're not as essential compared to like a short sleeve, I guess, and they don't sell as much. So they didn't even make them. But it's interesting. Yeah,
it's been kind of a roller coaster, and this has been one of my biggest challenges with Project Monarch is finding a supplier that I can rely on. I have a local guy, and it was working great, but he has the same challenges everybody does, and I'm just one of his clients. He's not making shirts for Project Monarch. He's making shirts for whoever pays, And so, cotton has been tough. I made the mistake. I probably won't make this mistake twice. At least I hope not. Is I tried to do a Knox night for Halloween, and it was orange, and then I did a glow in the dark one for Halloween, and I launched those the last day in September. And I had this big long meeting and this big long conversation with my supplier about, look, I'm going to launch this, and I need to know that they're going to be ready and that people will have them by Halloween. And sure enough, these are, we got plenty of time. Sure enough, come October, when the East Coast starts seeing that little flu spike again, because the weather's starting to change and it's flu season in general, all of a sudden, it's mid-October, and he's like, hey man, these might be a week late. And I'm like, dude, you're putting me in a really hard spot, because now I'm shipping them out the Wednesday before Halloween.
Right.
whereas I should have had them out a week before. So yeah, man, the world has been affected by COVID, and I would say the world in regards to supply chain, right?
Yeah,
It's
for
just
sure.
been kind of tossed upside down,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah, and
But yeah,
I can attest to the Halloween thing 3,000%. Like almost identical issue. And basically was like running around after basically the initial person said like it's not gonna happen. Like we're not gonna be able to make it. And like I'm just like, oh, you've got to be fucking kidding me.
yeah, it's tough. It's tough
I'll
because
go
they're
back and edit that.
the bearer of bad news.
Yeah, and they hate to do it too, and so unfortunately, like it's that same circumstance again. It's like so it's like that happens, and I'm running around, and then it ends up to being one of those things where I got to completely edit the entire design. I got to take every bit of Halloween elements out of it
Right.
because it's not going to be here, and it's like my gosh, and it's like then the person you work with, and it's like going back and telling them it's like, hey, I apologize, but the initial vision is gone, and it's gonna have to alter and change because at the end of the day, no one wants a Halloween shirt in November and December. So
exactly.
So it's one of those things. The same thing, like it defeats the purpose of having it. So 100%, yeah, man. That's I know it's frustrating, but I will say I feel like it's actually bounced back better than I was expecting it to. Like I was definitely expecting to see more issues and like supply line issues, but for the most part, it seems like it's not as bad as people you would think it'd be. So
yeah, and I mean, you're talking about the industry, like the apparel industry has bounced back, or are you talking like your following and stuff like that?
Just the apparel industry, just like being able to really just, I mean, like you would think, I mean, just for the gap of time, and you so I guess I always compare things to other industries. So like you see like the electronics industry, and if you follow a lot of like parts, PC parts and stuff like that, they are so just absolutely just obliterated. Like they just can't keep up with demand. Same thing with obviously everyone knows ammunition is like non-existent, and then the ammunition that is out there is through the roof cost wise. So, I guess when I see stuff like that, I always just expect, I guess when I was thinking about it, I was like, man, the cost of apparel merchandise,
it's going to be a while.
It's going to be a while. It's going to take a while, and the cost is probably going to be through the roof as well, compared to what what you'd normally expect in normal times. So I guess in that aspect, I'm surprised how well it's been able to kind of stay stable a little bit at least.
Yeah, and it's the other thing is now you're fighting Christmas too, so everybody's like, all these industries are like, well, oh crap, we got to bounce back. We got to get ready for Christmas. And it goes to the highest bidder. But, it's interesting. Like just last night, I bought a new pair of Vans, skate highs. And I want to say the last pair I bought was $30 cheaper than the pair that I bought last night. Same exact shoe. And I think it's due to the fabric costs more. Now they need to up the price.
Yep. And I know some guys are having difficulties finding, some of the prints into like with camouflage and stuff like that. Like they're not being able to source a lot of that stuff, and and that's becoming difficult within itself. Yeah, but I think it'll kind of start slowly, kind of stabilizing. Maybe hopefully a little bit, maybe next year probably. But yeah, man, let's talk about one shirt, and I mentioned it earlier about the one that I picked up, and the glitch shirt. Really cool design.
Yeah, you like that one, huh?
Dude, I love that shirt. Yeah, I really, really like that shirt. Like the style, like the artistry work and stuff like that. Very cool. So I guess that kind of reverts back to something like that. What kind of inspiration did you see on that one? Like, was there something that you had watched or seen and you're like, damn, it'd be really cool to input this?
Oh, it's actually really funny. So I was working with an artist to try to realize this other vision that I had. Have you seen I leaked it a couple of times on Instagram, the shirt that says "All my friends are sleeping"?
Yeah. I've seen that one.
So I was working with an artist originally to come up with this idea, and on his timeline, because he had to travel, the result I got was like, yeah, I'm not launching this. But the one thing I did salvage was that little skeleton head with the night vision. I'm like, okay, that's cool. And believe it or not, one of my favorite movie series of all time is Back to the Future.
Yeah.
And I was watching it with my kids because it just come on Netflix. And my oldest is 5, And so she is like old enough now where she can watch movies and kind of put together what's happening.
Right.
Like, you know, she actually understood that, you know, going back in time, Marty McFly was with his mom, you know, and stuff like that. But there's a character, one of the bad guys, I guess you could say, that's in Biff's little gang. He wears 3D glasses all the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. And then I was like, oh, wait, that's like, have you ever like looked at like a 3D design? I don't know. Like if you just Google, I think they look really cool. And I was like, you know what? That'd be really cool if that was on a shirt. And, you know, I was like, okay, well, I know how to do Illustrator. Let me just toss it together and then see what it looks like. And at first I had done just the red and the blue, and I was like, oh, that looks a little too goofy. And then I added the black on top just to kind of give it some definition, and it really popped. It really looked good. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to run with it. And, you know, what I'm wanting to do more and more of is put designs on the back.
Right.
And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to put this on the back.
Yes. And
I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. That way it's, you know, people can really see it. And just dropped it on there, and it kind of took off. And it's been one of the most popular shirts that's been on the website since it's been launched. So yeah, the inspiration from it was watching Back to the Future and going, hey, that guy wears 3D glasses all the time.
That's pretty cool.
And seeing, you know, some like 3D type, and I'm like, that looks really cool. And I don't know why I called it glitch, because to me it kind of looked like a glitch, you know. It's actually 3D, but
it almost printed a couple times over or something.
Yeah. Like it almost looked like, you know, an RGB printer, like it went through too fast or something. Like it's a misprint, right? And then on the front of it, under the project, over the Project Monarch, is actually 3D glasses. So I just thought it was pretty clever, tossed it together. And I don't do a whole lot of stuff on white. I want to start doing more stuff with colors. And so, you know, I was like, this would look really good on a white shirt. And so tossed it on there, and yeah, it's I really like it. It's again, it's really cool when you look at your own design and go, dang, I'll wear that, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, like, just like you said, it was a cool design. It's kind of more unique. It's, you know, just has like a nice little flavor to it. But like you said, so this has always been my kick, and I'm always a back shirt design guy. So like I like minor logo in the front, and then always a big, you know, more of a blown up, even if it's different, you know, back, just, you know, on the back. I'm not sure why. I don't even know where it started, but like when I saw that, I was like, oh man, that's awesome. And then, but the fact that you changed the design on the front to the glasses was like, that was to me like the home run right there. I was like, that's it right there. Like, that's a badass shirt. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go and get that shirt. It's funny, man.
And you know, it's interesting because one thing I kind of want to do, again, I know we're talking a lot about what I want to do, is I don't really care to like have a whole bunch of guns, you know, on shirts and stuff like that. I think the glitch, you know, it's night vision, it's firearms, air quotes, community related, but, you know, I think it's really cool. There's, you know, out here in Arizona, there's a whole group of like 40 to 70-year-olds that use night vision to go hiking at night.
Yeah.
Like a huge club of, you know, 100 people, and they're rocking PVS 31s and white phosphor DTMVGs, and they're 70 years old, and they just go on hikes and scavenger hunts with little metal detectors.
So it's funny that you bring that up, and I remember seeing one guy, and I won't say who he is, but regardless, he's a big gun. He is a big gun guy, but this is what he would do. He would have a bunch of live videos, or he would have like, you know, stories of him just walking around, like, and going to different places, and like, you know, a couple times he'd go to like some like technically haunted areas, but the whole time, you know, he's not shooting, he's just walking around, hiking and stuff like that. And it was just like,
I think is he out here in Arizona?
I think so. You probably know who he is.
Yeah, I know who he is.
Yeah. So, you know,
good
stuff
buddy.
So stuff like that is just like really, really cool to see that, and like being utilized, and it kind of, you know, diversifies it too. But seeing stuff like that, I was like, damn, that's a good idea. Like, you know, it kind of like balances it out. So very cool stuff. Cool stuff.
I kind of like, I'm to the point now where I'm like, okay, I want people to wear Project Monarch because it's cool, and not necessarily because they own a CQBR. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. And that's
kind of where we kicked it off, the glitch shirt.
Yep. Very good stuff, man. Very good stuff. So we'll go ahead and start switching gears a little bit. And so with like you said, with upcoming stuff you want to work on and projects and stuff like that. And do you do collaborations at all? And when you do, like, what do you expect from that?
Yeah. Obviously Project Monarch was birthed out of collaborations. So I owe a lot to a lot of other people. Collaborations got to a weird part in the beginning of Project Monarch because people would want to collaborate with me, and they either had like stolen artwork, or very blatantly copied people. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to do that.
Get to balance.
But Project Monarch's at this sweet spot now where I kind of feel where I know where their brand is going.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel bad, but I get maybe 5 DMs a week asking, hey, can we collab? Can we collab? Can we collab? But I'm at the point now where it goes, hey, if it fits the vision of my brand,
right,
then yeah, we can have that conversation. But to be honest, if you have 200 followers, and you have 7 posts or whatever, and you're coming to me with this design, this is what's going through my head. I'm thinking either he wants to gain followers and clout through me, whatever, or 2, he's looking to use me to make money. Because that's happened to me. I got burned, a handful of times. And so those are all things that kind of go through my head when working with collabs. But most definitely in 2021, that's something I really want to get back to is doing collabs. One, not only to help build up other communities, other, platforms. I don't necessarily consider them, using air quotes again, competitors, because again, like I said, anybody, like Red Robin is a competitor to me because we're both competing for that $20. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, that's a really good way of looking at it. And I think a lot of people could learn from that too, because at the end of the day, it's like, people can own more than one shirt. It's not like you're diversify your market anyways, but at the same time, like, it's not like, if you don't buy this shirt, you're never gonna buy another shirt again. So you're able to kind of build those other communities up. And especially if you have a similar vision and it's something that you guys both just bam, just like, that's it. You just run with it. 100% agree. Very cool stuff. And I definitely understand kind of where you're coming from on a lot of those aspects and stuff like that. Even in,
for sure.
And without pumping myself up, and it's never been like that, but there's been times, especially with different visions, and like, it's just like, how does that work? It's just not going to balance itself out. Like, it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
But very cool stuff, man. Yeah. Awesome. So,
but 2021, yeah, definitely. There's some collaborations that I have that are floating around right now, that are getting closer to finalization. One of them is with Tiny Crumb. Awesome. We initially did a collaboration way back in the day, talking 2017 maybe. We did the Mark 18, the crane patch.
Gosh, I didn't know that. So I saw the hat. I saw the hat, so I know that you had the hat and the thing and I do remember him doing that patch because I remember him. I think it was in one of the threads. I remember seeing it a long time ago, but very cool. I didn't realize that was yours, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. So we collabed way back when we launched it November of 2017, probably, and that's when I'm living out of a hotel. So he did all the it was on his store essentially. But yeah, we're looking to blow the hinges off, not only coming out with a restock, a very limited run of the crane patch, but as well as some shirts and some hats and some keychains that go along with that. So that's in the works. We'll have to, this is a little sneak peek, I guess. Nobody really knows about that. Yeah. I hope he's okay with me telling that. But yeah, even you and we've talked, I really like your style. I really like your brand. And so I think it would be awesome to maybe
100%
talk 10 seconds about our little collab that we've kind of spitballed around. We haven't really landed on anything, but yeah, definitely. I think we should do a collab. And then
absolutely,
if again, going forward, just anybody who's got a good idea, I'll always listen to a good idea.
Yeah.
But I've gotten to the point now where I'm okay saying no.
Yeah, I think sometimes you have to be honest with yourself too. And sometimes I find myself where I try to help people too much, or I go out of my way. But yeah, 100% agree. But yeah, with a collab, so that's something I've able to kind of like diversify a little more. I can get a better understanding and feeling for it. And absolutely 100%. We've already been chatting. And I was baiting that question already, so I was already baiting it a little bit. I was kind of throwing it out there, and of course
you're laying it up for.
Oh hell yeah, absolutely. It was an alley oop. So kind of trying to plan that out and build that together. And I'm sure we'll come out with something. We'll get something, knock it out. And I think we're on the same mindset and stuff like that. You know, we don't want to put a product out that we don't like, that neither of us like and not, you know, satisfied with. And so, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. I think it'll be a patch, but we'll just, you know, we'll see where it goes. Maybe something just coin flips and we move to some different avenue. So
yeah, who knows?
Very cool.
And it could be, you know, it could be a number of things. We don't know yet.
yeah. We'll get there. We'll get there. And I'm sure we'll start teasing as soon as we kind of get that stuff nailed down.
Yeah.
And luckily, like you said, the design style and stuff, like we're pretty similar aspects. And it's funny. You mentioned Ryan, and I know exactly who Ryan is. So yeah,
he's a very talented artist.
Dude,
and I think that's
astonishing.
People are like, oh, you didn't come up with that artwork. Well, yeah, like I came up with the idea. I just used somebody very talented to get it to look like what I wanted it to be. So
yeah,
Ryan's a good guy.
And then I think people kind of forget about that portion too. So it's like, just like what you just said, I've had that question before, and you know, it's like, well, yeah, some of the stuff I'm able to do, like I'm capable of doing the design and I'm satisfied with it. And there's other ideas that I really, really like. And when I attempt them, they look like dog shit. And, you know, pardon my French, but you know, at the same time, it's just like, why would I limit a really cool idea, a cool design, if I can't finish it and do it correctly? And then if I can get someone else who is talented and give them, you know, pay them for their talents and to create this idea and put it together, and there you go, it's alive. And so with Ryan, he's done it 2 times now, I think, for me.
Oh yeah, he's amazing, and so that's what makes the world go round, man. Like, he's happy, I'm happy. One of my designs, I literally drew with one of my daughter's black crayons, because it hit me while we were doing a crossword puzzle. Flipped over the back of the coloring book, drew like a little sketch, wrote letters on it. It's the All My Friends Are Sleeping shirt. And I said, hey Ryan, I trust you to make this look like what I want you to. And he took some creative liberties, but he knows, I've worked with him enough now that he knows my brand. He knows where to hide my little Project Monarch logo and stuff like that. So it's been really, totally. It's the same thing with shipping. Why would I, you know, I know it spend, you know, hours and hours and hours every day to ship things out, where I can pay somebody who's happy to get what they get paid, and I'm happy to pay them because it allows me to focus on other parts of my business.
Absolutely. That's all a complete agreement, and sometimes I think people don't understand that, and the only way for them to learn it is for them to have to experience it themselves. Yeah. So
it's called the cost benefit analysis.
Yes, that's right, dude. That's right. So we'll jump out of Project Monarch a little bit. We'll jump in, switch gears a little bit. So outside of, you know, this, you know, like you said, air quotes, industry, firearms, et cetera, and stuff like that. You know, what do you like to do, man? What's something you enjoy doing without having to get involved with Monarch?
Dude, I love being a dad. I wish I was a better dad sometimes. I'm sure every dad thinks that. But yeah, I mean, I got a beautiful wife and 3 beautiful kids that I'm able to wake up every morning, and, you know, Project Monarch and all of my followers and everybody who's bought a patch has given me the opportunity to provide for them, you know, like, and honestly, when I say that, like, every time somebody's buying a patch, hey man, that's making it that much easier for me to go out and buy diapers. That's making it that much easier for me to go out and put gas in the car. And I think I really don't know how to convey that. From the bottom of my heart, I am so humbled and grateful for everybody who supports Project Monarch. But yeah, I think first and foremost, I love being a dad. Again, I'm always tinkering, so yeah. I love photography and videography, and that's one thing I really want to get back into, is creating more. I just bought the new Sony A7S III, and, you know, a handful of lenses that went with that, and that's a good nighttime camera, and just being creative, right? And just having fun. There's been a couple hobbies now where I'm like, okay, I've kind of hit my point of saturation with firearms. You know, like how many SBRs can you own? How many different bolt action, right? You know what I'm saying? So I thought about getting into like fishing, but I'm the dude that's going to have, like, I want the $6,000 fishing, titanium fishing and pole. And now I want a boat and a truck to pull it. And so I've kind of like checked myself a couple times. Same thing with mountain biking. I I was really big into mountain biking growing up. But now, dude, mountain bikes are like a good mountain bike. And I have some buddies that are actually professional mountain bikers. And even with their discount, like in their homie hookup, it's like $4,000.
Yeah. So,
and it's like, I don't know if I like it that much.
Yes, it's so it's funny that you mentioned that because like I like kind of the way you go about stuff is 100%. And I cannot wait for my wife to say something and bring it up too, but 100% the same way. So as soon as I get into a hobby, instead of like easing myself into it or like, I don't want to say starting like an intro route, I just go gung ho because it's like as soon as I get a taste of it, it's like, well, it's like, damn, it'd be really cool. And I'd rather just have this. And, so why would I waste money on like this beginner or intro or like, the slower end? I'd rather just go ahead and get the nicest thing I can get. And, if I'm going to get it anyways, right. I might as well just go ahead and get it now. And it's like not waste money on little things. And so 100%, awesome. Yeah, I'm exactly the same. I'm guilty of that. But I'm with you, man. I feel like, there's only so much of that saturation, and I guess not everyone has that saturation point, but I'm right there with you. It's like,
and it's just the best way I was described to me as, a soap or not a soap, a sponge can only hold so much water before it starts dripping.
Yeah, of course.
Right. It's literally the point of saturation. It's like, you can't put any more water into it. Like I don't really think I could get much more enjoyment out of firearms. I've shot a minigun. I've shot a bell fed. I've shot a 20mm cannon. What else? Saws, M16s, G3s, you name it. Like nothing really is cool. Like, ooh, I don't wake up and want to go shoot a machine gun,
Yeah.
Night vision is another story though.
Okay, we gotta stop talking about night vision. So if my wife starts listening, she's gonna start.
That's right.
She's gonna. Like,
it's so interesting though, and this is probably my little 10-second spiel on night vision. I currently don't have night vision. I'm getting a set built up. I've owned 5 different types of night vision devices in the past, whether they're binos, sentinels, mum 14s, PVS 14s. I used them probably like I only use how can I say this? I only use them for shooting about 10% of the time.
Yeah.
If that. I was always, out walking around at night, looking at the stars. Dude, you can see different galaxies with your own freaking eyes. Like it's pretty nuts. And so if you ever have you ever looked through night vision?
Once. Standard green tubes, pretty poor Gen 3s, pretty much. Pretty bad, pretty shitty Gen 3s.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just, to me, it's like, it's a whole new world. And again, talking about the gentleman you were talking about earlier, who's out there hiking and stuff like that, it just allows you to see things, in a whole different world. It's really interesting.
Yeah,
but
it comes to life in a different
again, you
aspect.
can only get so many night vision devices before you need a helmet, a laser, a clip-on, this, that, and the other thing. So it's the same story.
Yeah, it is. It's still cool though. And again, I think a lot of it comes down to whenever get into like a new hobby or a new niche, you start to learn about something, and then like the more you learn, the more you diversify that aspect of it. It's like, whoa, well, there's this part of this that does this, and like that's why they started making it this way, and that's why it costs more this way,
and you try to justify it.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So I'm sure I'll get
I know the drill.
Yeah. So that's always cool stuff, man. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. That's it's all kind of cool hobbies, and I think it's a good learning point too for people to not feel like they just have to just overwhelm themselves. And I think it kind of comes back to something that Corey from SupDef and I talked about, where you don't have to make yourself nothing but a gun guy too. You can have other hobbies, you can have other interests and other things that you enjoy doing, like you can go fishing, you can go hunting, you can do whatever you want, or you can skate, you can BMX, you can mountain bike. But I think
it's important to just not take it so serious. Because in all reality, it is a blessing that I'm able to do this, right? And so if I'm going to treat myself like I'm sitting on a throne, right, that could very easily be snatched away from me. And so just to have fun with it, man. I love to have fun, and just kind of help. I like helping people too. And so like you and I had kind of talked about this. One of the things I want to try in 2021, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I know the hardest thing about getting into night vision is actually buying night vision. And I thought about doing this like once a quarter, so 4 times a year, um, or whatever, is actually giving away night vision.
Yeah. That's big
Whether
too,
that's
man.
a whether that's a PVS 14 or actually binos. I I know it's huge.
Yeah.
That's one of my little aspirations, and again, I think that's, I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I remember I fell into night vision uh, before I even um, was shooting with it. Right, I had a
Mhm.
friend who worked for a night vision company, and we would always, I'd borrow his binos and I'd go play in the desert. Right, I didn't even know you could slap a laser on your gun and start shooting with it.
Yeah.
Um, and so, but the hardest part is saving up your pennies and actually making that
Yeah.
purchase. So if there's anything I could do to streamline that process for people, I think that would be really awesome to help build that little community.
Very cool, man. Yeah, and I think that's a really cool. That's a good way for people to get involved in it and kind of get that, dip their toes and kind of get more of a better outlook for it as well, and not feel like they're going to have to end up dumping couple G's to get it started and stuff like that. And I'm sure people will
Yeah.
work with you too to kind of help set up that project. So
Oh
that
yeah,
way,
I would do probably like a $1 you spend on my store is get you to enter. I despise these raffles.
yeah, I'm the same way.
It, very respectfully, because I know they make a lot of money off of them, but at the same time, it's pretty much gambling. So these people they're accepting the fact that they're going to lose, right? And on the off chance they might get a set of PVS 14s or whatever.
Right.
Whereas if you bought something from my store, you get something you want. You could buy a sticker, and
You're still
you
in
really
there.
like that sticker.
You're getting a product
and win. Exactly.
Yeah. Yep. So same aspect. I agree with you on that one. It's kind of like one of those things. It's like it's I don't know. It's like I remember seeing it the first couple of times, and I was like thinking legally. I was like, I don't know how they're able to do this and get away with it. But now that you say that, I don't feel like I've seen it too much as I used to. So maybe they've toned it down some, but I'm sure they're still there.
I don't think so. I just get tagged in so many giveaways.
Oh, man. Yeah.
or raffles.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
So I guess I was thinking the raffles, but yeah, for sure the giveaways, and I'll admit, but normally I kind of branch it out some. I normally give a like or something like that. So, but I do know exactly what you're talking about.
People tag me in them all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, hey, I get it, but like there was one. I think they did a raffle for a set of GPMVGs, like 18s, like Pano Night Vision. I don't even know if anybody ever won. I don't know that they ever announced it, but
that's the thing. Is like too. It's like, do some of these guys actually end up, landing a piece of this, this tech and stuff like that they're a part of? I mean, that's what I have no idea. Too. It's insane.
Nothing against them. Like again,
yeah.
more power to you, but just not my style.
Yep. I'm with that, man. Very cool, man. Well, thank you so much again for jumping on. I feel like that's almost like a breakdown, a good history lesson and a background and all kinds of cool stories and understanding of the process, and maybe giving people some understanding in the process as well. It's it's a lot of great info and good background stories, man.
I hope it was entertaining. I know I can ramble.
Dude. Yeah.
As you can see, I'm in this teeny little office. I don't really get to talk to people very much. So anytime somebody's like, hey, let me ask you about Project Monarch, I'm like, well, how much time do you have?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Which is so in a way it's almost kind of like satisfying too, because like, when someone's getting started and talking with someone who's knowledgeable about it, when they do take the time out to give a full answer, not like a yes, no, maybe, I don't care kind of thing, and and they flesh out an answer and really take the time. You can always tell, even like the couple of questions I've asked you, and when you take the time to fully explain stuff and kind of go about the process, it's it's really a nice thing, and just kind of it's refreshing, I guess. That's what I'm trying to find out, but it's good stuff.
Yeah, man. It's again, I've said it a handful of times. I'm blessed to be here, and if there's any advice I could give to you, Circa Kraft, or anybody listening, it's just sometimes it's worth gambling on yourself. It's worth investing time in yourself because you never know what you're potentially sitting on. And Project Monarch is to the point now where I can focus a lot of time on it, but it took 4 years to get here, and just you'd be surprised at what you're capable of when motivation hits. So no, I'm really excited for you. I thank you again for having me. I've enjoyed watching your brand grow and
pleasure's all
seeing
mine.
what you're doing for the community. It's been really awesome, and just kind of, just it pumps me up to see guys like yourself.
Yep. Well, I appreciate it, man. And stuff like that, especially from people who've been doing it for obviously for 4 years and have built a large brand and stuff like that. And, it's really cool. And of course, when you build something and you're able to see people notice it. And of course, when people like yourself who have obviously created a very successful band, and when you recognize that and show that, so that's always kind of gets me, like you said, it motivates you, but it also just gets me amped up 100% and motivates me 100%. So again, thank you. And having guys like you on helps me, and it's always a pleasure getting you on anytime, man. And I'm sure we'll be in talks. Got that collab.
We got to get that collab worked out.
Oh yeah, we're getting it worked out. It's coming. So how can for the unaware, the unintelligent, how can they reach you, man? How can they find your stuff? I don't know how they don't know you already, but how do they find you?
It's interesting. It's Projekt Monarch with K's, PROJEKT MONARK. And it's funny, we didn't even talk about where that name came from, but that's a whole nother story. Maybe episode 2, or if you got time, I really don't care.
Yeah,
but,
let's go. We'll do a little
all right.
little bonus, little encore part. And I actually meant
show notes, right?
Yeah, I meant to actually ask it when we were starting off, and then I think we switched gears, and then I just completely forgot. My ADHD kicked in, and I'm just like, I'm focused on the next part.
It's funny. Projekt Monarch actually comes from the Godzilla world, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
as nerdy as that sounds. My brother and I, we moved way out in the boonies when I was like, I don't know, 8, I think. My parents still live on a dirt road, so we didn't have cable. So my mom went to like the flea market and bought all these VHSs, and one of them she bought was like this whole collection of all the 1950s Godzilla movies, right? So me and my brothers, we would watch Godzilla movies, and Mecha Godzilla, Ghidorah, Rodan, all these bad guys. And then I think it was like 2015, 16, 17, they started coming out with the new ones.
Yeah, it's like that, something like that.
Well, in the new ones, there's a Projekt Monarch.
Yeah.
But it's spelt right, PROJEKTMONARCH. And what Projekt Monarch is in that little world, it's the government's investigation of those creatures.
Yeah.
So like they talk about in the movies, all the nuclear testing they did in the 50s in the Pacific wasn't necessarily to test. They were trying to kill Godzilla.
Right. Great.
And I always thought that was cool. The Projekt Monarch, just the name. And Project, when I first came out, the designs was, a lot top secret redacted stuff, so that's how Projekt Monarch came to be.
That's really cool, man. So it's funny that you say that. So I was wondering if it was a part of the Monarch, especially with like kind of Godzilla, but I was like, no, he spelled it differently. It's probably something else. So I was like, I don't want to be an ass and like mention something along those lines.
Man.
And be like,
that's awesome that you kind of
it's not like it. It's not has nothing to do with that. And so so that's really cool, man. So yeah. So on Instagram, it's at Projekt PROJEKTMONARK. So
Projekt Monarch, link to the website, Sarah, www.projectmonarch.com.
Yep.
I think I have a YouTube, Projekt Monarch. I need to start posting there more, but yeah. And if anybody's got any questions, just reach out.
Awesome. I'll have everything linked up as well. So everyone who's like me, you hear something and it just goes out one ear out the other, I'll link it up for you. So all you got to do is just go to the Linktree, click, bam, that's it. But honestly, how the hell do you not know where he's at, So good stuff, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for coming on, and it was a pleasure. And until next time.